俺はウォーズマン。人呼んでファイティングコンピューター。
Number 4, Warsman, the Russian superhero nicknamed the Silent Black Devil, known for his violent weapon, the Bear Claw, and techniques such as the Screwdriver, the Apollo Special, and let's not forget, his Warsman smile. Warsmanly! Warsman debuted as a strong candidate of the 21st Chojin Olympics for killing superheroes such as Pentagon and T-Pac-Man, especially T-Pac-Man. Warsman almost had his way with Ramen Man by making him suffer brain damage. This event caused the final round, Warsman vs Kinnikuman, and by the end of it, we learn who he is. Warsman removes his mask to reveal his secret identity of being a robot Chojin, a Superman that was born half machine. In his youth, Warsman, aka Nikolai Volkov, was ostracized for his disfigured appearance. Subsequently, Nikolai would grow up resenting humans and Chojin. Nikolai got the attention of the Snake's Pit organization, who taught him how to wrestle, and christened the name Warsman, or Vonya Machina, which should translate to War Machine. Warsman defects from the Snake's Pit and is trained by Robin Mask, thus participating in the 21st Olympics, the big fight. Throughout the entire arc, Warsman is a bit inconsistent in terms of character. In the beginning, Warsman had no restraints inflicting harm to other people, but started hesitating once he received orders from Robin Mask. Originally, Robin Mask was disguised as the man Barracuda, and it's because of this deception that I wonder two things. Was Barracuda always meant to be Robin Mask, and was Warsman going to be a solo main villain or a tragic character taking orders? Such examples of this confusion can be seen when Robin hires death row inmates as targets for Warsman to kill. Anyone who survived will be set free, and Warsman spares an elderly man who wanted to see his grandson. A similar scene occurs when Robin Mask guilt trips Warsman for leaving Robin Man in a disabled state, and suggests putting him out of his misery. These actions contradict previous fights where, under his own volition, Warsman already brutally killed two superheroes. So I find it difficult to believe this person didn't want to hurt people, in addition to concepts such as the Warsman smile. Granted, the original Kinnikuman isn't the most organized of manga lore, but I can't completely overlook this. On the other hand, these actions can perceive the character as mysterious, especially when he never speaks, until the very end of the Olympics. Before the conclusion, Warsman will only let out deep breaths, which could relate to Darth Vader and their mechanical bodies. The point of the message and Warsman's character growth is a person who regretted his murders and eventually breaks free of Robin's control, as symbolized with the shattered bear claw. In other words, as the anime puts it, a machine who gained humanity. It would have been beneficial to see more scenes of Warsman interacting with other people outside of the ring, adding more signs of emotion, or even the opposite. He could have premiered in the pages of Shonen Jump by being very void of emotions and gradually shown hints of life. With Warsman now being a social individual, what does he offer to the story and what makes him one of my favorite characters? As a young boy, I always been a fan of robot stories and characters such as Robocop and Short Circuit. Warsman's cyborg origins really got my attention, but it's never really explored in the original series. So far, the only story that dives into his background is in Kinnikuman Volume 37. In the story, Warsman Begins. This chapter reboots some events surrounding the Snake's Pit, since it was a tribute to the 1960s wrestling series Tiger Mask. In this version, it's the SKGB who recruit Nikolai to serve their country, as his father was a superhero named Mikhail Man, who sold his body for cyborg experimentation, which ended in tragic results. I really appreciate this origin story to provide a humanitarian theme among the blasphemous acts of converting oneself into machine for power and youth. This adds a lot to Warsman's childhood and his future motivation of wanting to succeed in where his father failed. His mother's last words also provide encouragement to fight his machine half and live like a human, or a superhuman in this case. But like the original Kinnikuman, Warsman Begins contains a reason why Warsman has to leave this group. Warsman believed he was working for patriotic peace, but instead, he was designed to pretty much kill all other superheroes and military powers, and have the USSR conquer the world with an army of robot supermen. Warsman leaves and is found by Robin Mask, and we could just assume the SKGB failed on their robot plan because they're never brought up ever again. But back to the main series, what does Warsman provide? Very little satisfaction. I don't like saying this, but Warsman predates Yamcha, because after his loss to Kinnikuman, Warsman becomes the guinea pig character for new villains such as Dekase King, Buffalo Man, Planet Man, Ashra Man, the Hell Missionaries, and Mammoth Man. The worst moment is easily in the Golden Mask arc because it becomes a stage. Yamcha never did that. Warsman predates Yamcha. That's not good. Admittedly, he did have moments to shine. Warsman cuts off Buffalo Man's horn, and he takes one for the team as Planet Man's hostage. Warsman even manages to save Mongol Man from beyond the grave. How did you do that? I mean, it's not possible. How does the bear claw fit in the mouth? Why would you have it in your mask? Kinnikuman logic. You don't question it. Warsman brought Kinnikuman back to life with not Dragon Balls and saved meat in a very well-timed scene for the Manriki. He then brutally killed the Manriki. Eventually, fans realized Warsman deserved a bit more respect and wanted him to return to his older roots of being this invincible fighter. He did take out Ramen Man, and look at him. He's so badass! Warsman and Robin Mask are easily the coolest looking characters in the entire Kinnikuman series. So how do we go from the fighting computer to the predate of Yamcha? Things improve greatly for Warsman in Ultimate Muscle. Following his teacher's footsteps, Warsman disguises himself as Chloe, or Lord Flash, to train Kevin Mask, the son of his teacher. Kevin Mask didn't like his father, therefore he didn't want to become him, so he ran away from home and turns into a bad guy who killed humans. He very quickly leaves the DMP and goes solo until his return in the Chojin Olympics, where he's trained by Lord Flash. Very much like the original Kinnikuman, Lord Flash behaves like Barracuda, who enforces a very violent fighting style upon Kevin Mask, which can be summarized in the phrase, be as precise as an angel and as bold as a devil. Things get gritty with Warsman behaving in this very villainous fashion, with words such as,
sympathy means defeat, hesitation means defeat, make sure he never makes the mistake of challenging you again, send him to hell.
And then Kevin Mask rips his arms off. But that's not enough. Kevin wants to drop him to the ground and Warsman encourages him by saying,
Kevin Mask, your father, couldn't retain his championship in the 20th Superhuman Olympics because he lacked the ruthlessness to send his opponents into the jaws of death.
But why is Warsman in disguise? According to the Superhuman Olympics rules, the second must be the same nationality as the fighter. Warsman abandoned his country of Russia and became an English citizen, and his reasoning was to honor and repay Robin Mask for being his teacher. Warsman's gratitude towards Robin moves Kevin to tears and begins to see his father in a new light. In a major difference from the anime, Kevin Mask is the true winner of the Olympics. To see a character grow and teach the next generation is something that can only be done in a sequel. Ultimate Muscle did waste opportunities to see other Justice Chojin interacting with their sons or training new students. Rockin' Jr. is the only other person who had a disciple, and that turned out well, especially in the Ultimate Muscle tag story. Warsman manages to redeem himself in molding Kevin Mask as the champion of the 22nd Chojin Olympics. This fight is all about following tradition and learning history of the original Kinnikuman series. With this act, Warsman may have reached the climax of his story. He leaves Kevin Mask with words of warning. I don't care about being a king of a planet or head of a wrestling school. I'm a robot. I don't age. Maybe one day you'll see me in the blue corner, facing off against you. I like Warsman just a little bit more than Robin Mask for a few reasons. The easiest answer is Warsman's character design being one of the slickest and meanest of many Kinnikuman characters, but I actually like Robin's knightly appearance just as much. The usage of bear claws is another cool factor, which always reminded me of Wolverine, and I like that guy, so seeing someone else with a similar weapon just made me very interested in Warsman. Lastly, his robot Chojin background adds a lot of emotional support, but it's barely mentioned in the entire series. Even his victories and activities are far and few in between, but at the very least, Ultimate Muscle accomplished a great reinterpretation of Warsman, especially with the last few panels hinting at a long life. It's very possible to create Warsman spin-off stories since the main Kinnikuman series won't offer many opportunities such as the current Kinnikuman 2011. As said before with Robin Mask, the perfect Chojin nemesis has defeated Robin, possibly killing him. In return, both Warsman and Kinnikuman have a score to settle, and both are characters who Robin felt a great connection with. As Robin falls, he chooses Warsman to take his place, in keeping the Justice Chojin united. With a newfound purpose, Warsman manages to defeat Polar Man while keeping the memory of Robin Mask in his heart. During the match with Polar Man, Warsman also makes a few steps towards an evolution. He uncovers super friendship power, uses Robin's new move, the Naked Tower Bridge, and is even encouraged by Ramen Man. By the end of the fight, Warsman becomes more human than ever before, as his mask fell off and wasn't ashamed of his face being exposed. With this fight, it seems feasible to see how this Warsman matures into the disciplined coach from Ultimate Muscle. But there's a little problem. When Warsman has the opportunity to fight Nemesis, Ramen Man steps in and steals the fight. And judging by volume covers, it's ultimately Kinnikuman who defeats Nemesis, so that leaves Warsman with, It seems the lesson of this story is to teach Nemesis the error of his ways, and each encounter with the Justice Chojin has made him rethink his ideals. Ramen Man managed to affect Nemesis' conscience, but he also loses. I really can't see Warsman fighting Nemesis at this point, and if he did, we know he'll lose. There's a chance of the fight still showing Warsman's perseverance and fighting efforts like Ramen Man did, but it does seem very unnecessary to repeat the same structure. Even Terry Man had a similar match when against Justice Man, and currently that might be the same case for Broken Jr. vs Psycho Man. Meanwhile, Kinnikuman only had one fight thus far. Unless Warsman is allowed to wrestle either Strong the Budo or Akuma Shogun, or some new character that comes out of nowhere, I think Warsman is done for this new Kinnikuman series. Robin Mask and Warsman really need to have their own series, for their teacher and student combo is very misplaced when compared to the already established Kinnikuman and Kamehame. It seems the only way for Warsman to gain new material is in the absence of Kinnikuman. Despite all of his ups and downs, Warsman does have a popular following, even winning first place in a certain character poll. His respect for Robin Mask could be greater than what Kinnikuman felt for Kamehame, but unlike the teacher Kamehame who has remained dead, Robin Mask is an individual who cheats the afterlife, thus kinda lowering the sad impact and Warsman's growth as a man. While it's possible for Nemesis to have killed Robin, it's also a possibility for Robin to return because of Ultimate Muscle's continuity. If this new Kinnikuman retconned Robin Mask having a son before permanently dying, then I could see this working greater for Warsman's character, who could be a father figure to Kevin Mask. Only time will tell, as this current Kinnikuman manga has now been running for 8 years, and this could be the final Kinnikuman story, and I just hope there's still some time to redeem Warsman, a violent cyborg superhero who wears the sorrowful bear claw.